Krishna Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare
Hare Krishna. Ronnie Prabhu, voice is clear? Okay. The Kirtan had so much pride. So जब तक वो प्रभु जी आते हैं, Ronnie Prabhu, can you do the Kirtan? Let's see if the voice is clear.
Yes. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Thank God, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Thank God, Hari Bol, thank God, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Thank God, Hari Bol. What can we do? Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna and Pranam dear devotees. So we are very fortunate that today we have among us His Grace Harilila Prabhu from ISKCON Mayapur. So all of us, we heartily welcome Prabhuji by loudly chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So many of you would not have heard Hare Krishna. Prabhu, can you hear us? You're on mute, Prabhuji. Okay.
Yes, Prabhuji, I can hear you.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. So before we start, I will just give a brief introduction of His Grace Harilila Prabhu. Prabhuji is a mechanical engineer by qualification, and he met devotees in 1999 in Sharjah, UAE, and joined Bhakti Vriksha. Then Prabhuji received Harinam Diksha from His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Guru Maharaj in 2003 and Brahman Diksha in 2011. Both in Dubai, Prabhuji got. Then Prabhuji shifted in 2012. Prabhuji shifted to Mayapur to educate his son in Mayapur Gurukul. And then Prabhuji completed his Bhakti Shastri. Prabhuji completed his Bhakti Shastri in Dubai and Bhakti Vaibhav in Mayapur. And presently, Prabhuji is studying Bhakti Vedanta. So Prabhuji joined full-time in Mayapur service in 2013 and held various positions. He is currently serving the Mayapur Hospital Project, Mayapur Development Services, Construction Department, and Mayapur Master Plan Team. And Prabhuji is also teaching Shastri courses in Mayapur Institute, MIHE, and other institutes. He is engaged in Grihastha training and teaching Krishna conscious Grihastha ashram, along with his wife, Her Grace Devilila, Devi Mataji. Or how I heard Prabhuji is that Prabhuji, the teacher in our Bhakti Vaibhav, and we heard from Prabhuji, and it was so nice to hear from him. And then I requested Prabhuji that please give us some mercy. And the first 3 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, we want to hear from you. So Prabhuji, in spite of his busy time, he accepted our request. So we are very, very grateful to him. And today we also have senior devotees from ISKCON Rohini, many devotees. So we heartily welcome them also. So again, we chant Hare Krishna mantra and welcome Prabhuji and all the senior devotees who are present with us. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. His Grace Harilila Prabhu ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Yes.
Hare
Hare
Thank you. So our task is to explore the first 3 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. That is the task which is given to me. We will stick to Prabhupada's purports. That's generally what I do. Just stick to Prabhupada's purports. And then since we are going to just discuss the first 3 verses alone, so we'll more or less read the entire purport. And then we'll try to do it. So actually last week, when I committed to Prabhuji that we'll do this week, I was thinking that I will finish my classes on Thursday and Friday last week itself. But somehow that didn't finish last week. So it is going to continue this week also, my Thursday, Friday class. So, but still, anyway, I told Prabhu I'm going to start. So today we'll do Tuesday and Wednesday class. Then Thursday, Friday, I have my regular Bhakti Shastri classes, which I need to do for the Coimbatore group. So then we'll continue next week after that. So that's the adjustment is going to happen because of the calculation. I'm sorry for the this in a mix-up. So we'll start, we'll do the Mangalacharan and then we'll start. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Nigamakal Galitam Phalam Sukamkatam Rata Dravasamyatam Pipada Bhagavatam Rasamalayam Mughragorisika Bhuvibhavakaha Narayanam Namaskritya Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet Ashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyutama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Neshtiki Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadamahyam Dadadi Sapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurun Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parjana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Kushabanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunnavadi Paschayita Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Uttam Karoti Vachalam Pangulangayate Kripatamaham Vande Shri Guru Nitarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Meshwaram Tathanchana Smrite Yasmin Dushkaram Shukram Bhavet Smrite Pritam Syat Sri Chaitanyam Namamatam. So Prabhupada actually gave title to each canto of Bhagavatam. So the first canto he titled as Creation or Sarga, because the first canto basically deals with the primary aspect of creation. So what is the primary aspect of creation? The primary aspect of creation is that creation has a creator. Somebody has created it. It's not a random thing. Somebody has created it, and he has created it for a good purpose. And the whole creation is meant simply to understand that purpose. There's no other purpose for this creation. Every other purpose we may assign for the creation is simply secondary to that purpose. Sometimes it is said by Prabhupada, or he quotes different acharyas to say that this creation is meant for the enjoyment of the conditioned soul. Yes, it is meant for the enjoyment of the conditioned soul. It's true, but that's a secondary purpose of creation. The primary purpose of creation is simply to make sure that we understand the creator, and then we understand the purpose of his creation, and then we go back to the creator, and then we join the eternal Leela. So that is the primary purpose of creation. So for example, there is a jail in this material world. The primary purpose of the jail is the reformation of the inmates in the jail. The secondary purpose is to protect the society from those inmates, because they actually pose a kind of threat to the society, or to give some good habits to the inmates, or to do various things to maintain law and order. So many different things may be there as secondary purposes of the jail. But the primary purpose of jail is actually to reform the inmates of the jail. So rest of other things are existing for that primary purpose. And many other things are served by actually making a jail and putting all the criminals there. So this material world is more or less like a jail. And we are all like, at least the conditioned souls, maybe some self-realized souls are there here. I don't want to generalize. The conditioned souls are generally considered as criminals, because we have done something which you're not supposed to do. So the material world is an opportunity to understand that we cannot enjoy without Krishna. We need to go back to Krishna. That's the whole purpose of this material world. So the creation is meant for such meditation, that we need to meditate on Krishna. So the first 3 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam very clearly explains this point. And the first 3 verses of Bhagavatam also constitutes the Mangalacharan of Srimad Bhagavatam. So the Mangalacharan has a certain characteristics. So the first characteristic of Mangalacharan is that it actually determines the subject matter which is under discussion. If you write a book, then there is a subject matter for that book. So the very first thing is to offer obeisances to your Ishtadeva. You can offer obeisance to anybody. In Mangalacharan, when you start your Mangalacharan, you can offer obeisance to anybody. Nobody will question, why are you offering obeisance to this person or that person? Nobody will question that, because that is your choice. That's the author's choice. That you can say that I want to offer my obeisance to this person, and starting this book, I want to offer my obeisance to this person. So nobody will have any debate about it. So Mangalacharan, so the first three verses, the first thing is that Vyasadeva is actually offering his obeisance to the Ishtadeva, to his Ishtadeva. So then he actually explains the subject matter of this book. The subject matter of the book is the Supreme Absolute Truth and his abode. And that in comparison with this material world. Okay. And the nature of the Supreme Absolute Truth and the nature of the conditioned source. So these are all the subject matter of the book. But the primary subject matter of the book is the Supreme Absolute Truth himself. So that becomes very, very clear in the first verse. So in the first verse, he offers obeisance, and then he does Vastu Nirdesha. Means that he actually explains that what is the subject matter he is going to discuss in this verse, in this whole book. Okay, so that he does in the first verse. And then in the second verse, generally, the qualification of a person who can approach the book and those who are unqualified to approach the book, all these things are explained. What is the subject matter? Then who should read it? Who should read it? Like, for example, if there is a book which is written on some MBBS subject matter, then the person who is studying MBBS should read it. Like, I am a mechanical engineer. If I try to read some book which is meant for some MBBS person, I cannot make head or tail out of it because it's all MBBS subject matter. But if you actually give some mechanical engineer subject matter like design of gears and cams to a doctor, then he may think, hey, what is this? Why am I reading this? So every book requires a certain qualification to read. So what is the qualification to read Bhagavatam, and what is the disqualification? Who is not qualified to read Bhagavatam? This is explained in the second verse. Of course, Bhagavatam also expands this qualification because Bhagavatam has a few sets of Mangalacharan. It's like this is Vyasadeva's Mangalacharan. Then you will find Sukadeva Goswami's Mangalacharan. Then you will also find Suta Goswami's Mangalacharan. So Vyasadeva gives a certain qualification. Then Suta Goswami expands it. Then Sukadeva Goswami also expands it further. So then the audience becomes broader and broader, but they all keep the essence of that. What is the qualification? So probably we'll discuss how in the three Mangalacharans, how things become broader. This matter we'll discuss when we go for the second verse. So then the third verse is giving some blessing. It gives an ashirvada. It gives some blessing. So the author gives some blessings. He bestows some blessings upon the reader because now there is the subject matter is there. Then the qualified reader is there. Now, since it is a spiritual subject matter, even the reader is qualified, but without the blessings of the author, you cannot understand it. So the author has to bless, and he needs to open the subject matter for us. And that he does in the third verse. So this is more or less the overview of the three verses which we are going to see. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur actually gave 30 days continuously lecture on first verse. And he said that we can keep lecturing the first verse. In one sense, it is said that the entire Bhagavatam is just an expansion of the first verse, because the first verse is so concise and it is so it's so clear in its subject matter that it expands into the rest of the Bhagavatam. And also the first verse also establishes a very important point. That point is that it establishes many important points, but one of the important point it establishes is that Bhagavatam is the natural commentary of Vedanta Sutra. By actually starting with the verse of a particular aphorism of Vedanta Sutra. So it also says that This is the author's natural commentary, which is how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted Bhagavatam as he accepted Bhagavatam as natural commentary to Vedanta Sutra. So this is what is like little introduction we have for the first verse. If you Prabhuji told there are many senior devotees are there. So please, if you have your own realization which you want to share with the rest of the class, feel free to just raise the hand and say whatever you want to say. I can also learn by that way. It's not that I am meant to speak and you're all meant to hear. Please don't be under such impression. Anybody who has some realization at any point of time, you feel that you want to share with the class, rest of us, please feel free. This is not like a particular class. I'm just doing it more like a discussion thing. It's not like I'm trying to be a teacher or something like that. So please feel free to talk whenever you want to talk. Just raise your hand and talk. Also, if you have any question, you just raise your hand and ask. This is generally the system I follow. There is no question time. Whenever you feel like asking a question, you just raise your hand, either electronically or physically. You raise your hand and then just ask a question. That's it. So that's how. Sometimes I stop and ask if you have any questions, but other times I may not stop. But don't think that there will be a question time. Just ask if you have a question. That's it. And please feel free to share whatever you want to share. Don't hesitate. So that's my request also. Okay, so text number 1. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Janmadhyasya Anvayadi Tarataschatyeshu Abhigyaswarat Tene Brahma Hridaya Adikavaye Muhyanti Yatsurayah Tejo Varimritam Yata Vinimayo Yatratrisarko Mrisha Dhamna Svena Sada Nirastakuhakam Satyam Param Dhimahi. So somebody can read the word-to-word translation. Somebody wants to read word-to-word?
Yes, Prabhuji. Okay, go ahead. Yes, Rukmini Harisevani Mataji, go ahead.
O my Lord, Shri Krishna, son of Vasudeva, O all-pervading personality of Godhead,
Read
I
the word.
offer my
Please read the word-to-word translation. Om, oh my Lord.
O my Lord, Shri Krishna, son of Vasudeva, O all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. I meditate upon Lord Shri Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, we have to speak word to word.
Please
Once.
read word-to-word translation.
Word-to-word.
Sabda Arth Padiye.
Yes. Can I read too?
Yes, yeah.
Om, O my Lord, Namah, offering my obeisances, Bhagavate, unto the personality of Godhead, Vasudevaya, unto Vasudev, the son of Vasudev, or Lord Shri Krishna, the primeval Lord, Janmadi, creation, sustenance, and destruction, Asya, of the manifested universes, Yataha, from whom, Anvayat, directly, Itaratah, indirectly, Cha, and Artheshu, purposes, Abhigya, fully cognizant, Swarat, fully independent, Tene, imparted, Brahma, the Vedic knowledge, Hrida, the consciousness of the heart, Yah, one who, Adi Kavaye, unto the original created being, Muhyanti, our illusion, Yat, about whom, Surya, great sages and demigods, Teja, fire, Vari, water, Mridam, earth, Yatha, as much as, Vinimaya, action and reaction, Yatra, whereupon, Trisarga, 3 modes of creation, creative faculties, Amrisha, almost factual, Dhamna, along with all transcendental paraphernalia, Svena, self-sufficient, Sada, always, Nirasta, negation by absence, Kuhakam, illusion, Satyam, truth, Param, absolute, Dhimahi, I do meditate upon.
Okay, somebody else can read the translation.
Prabhuji, can I?
Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu, go ahead. Prabhu, can you share the screen so everybody can see?
Sure, Prabhuji.
Sorry.
Yes, go ahead. Shashank Siddhan Prabhu.
Translation. O my Lord, Shri Krishna, son of Vasudeva, O all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. I meditate upon Lord Shri Krishna because he is the absolute truth and the primeval cause of all causes of the creation, sustenance, and destruction of the manifested universes. He is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestations, and he is independent because there is no other cause behind him, cause beyond him. It is he only who first imparted the Vedic knowledge unto the heart of Brahmaji, the original living being. By him, even the great sages and demigods are placed into illusion. As one is bewildered by the illusionary representations of water seen in fire or land seen on water, only because of him do the material universes, temporarily manifested by the reactions of the three modes of nature, appear factual, although they are unreal. I therefore meditate upon him, Lord Shri Krishna, who is eternally existent in the transcendental abode, which is forever free from the illusory representations of the material world. I meditate upon him, for he is the absolute truth.
Okay. So this is a very long verse. And then as we discussed before, it's an important verse. This is the seed of Srimad Bhagavatam. So so the first is that he is actually praying to his Ishtadeva. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this Vasudeva is his Ishtadeva. So who is Vasudeva? Vasudeva is son of Vasudeva. Son of Vasudeva is Krishna. Okay. So Vasudeva also has a second meaning, which Prabhupada brings out in the translation, all-pervading personality of Godhead. Now, the all-pervading feature of Krishna is two features. One feature is Paramatma, the other feature is Brahman. Okay. So both of them are all-pervading. So then we understand that he is a person with a localized form, with an individual form, and he is also having all-pervading form as Paramatma and also Brahman. So there is Brahman, there is Paramatma, there is Bhagavan. But the person who is ultimate, worthy of the ultimate worship is Bhagavan. So we understand that. So this will be explained later. Vadanti tattva tattvam ejnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti Bhagavan iti sabdyate. So this will be explained later. But in the very beginning itself, this is being hinted that the Lord actually has inconceivable opulence of simultaneously being present in everywhere and not being present. So Krishna explains this point of simultaneous presence and no presence in the 9th chapter Bhagavad Gita. He explains this as Yoga Maheshwaram. In the 9th chapter Bhagavad Gita, if you see, Krishna actually speaks a series of verses. And in that series of verses, maybe we'll go there. In that series of verses, Krishna actually explains that how he is all-pervading, he is there, he is not there. So many things Krishna explains in the 9th chapter Bhagavad Gita. Okay, I'll just share the screen. I have a document where this is explained. Maya tadamidam sarvam jagad avyaktamurtina matstani sarvabhutani nachaham te shavastitaha. Maya, by me, tatam, pervaded, idam, this sarvam, all, jagat, cosmic manifestation, avyaktamurtina, by the unmanifested form, matstani, in sarvabhutani, all living entities, na, not, cha, also, aham, I, teshu, in them, avastitaha, situated. Translation. By me, in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. So all beings are in me, but I am not in them. So what is that unmanifested form? That unmanifested form is Brahman. All beings are in me, that is a universal form. This is Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, the universal form. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. That is Bhagavan. Because he is Goloka eva nivasati akilatma bhuto. Goloka eva nivasati. He is living in Goloka. He has got nothing to do with these three Vishnus in the sense of He is the source of three Vishnus, but he has got nothing to do with the function of these three Vishnus. The three Vishnus are functioning, they are doing their job, but he is in Goloka, he is sitting there, he is enjoying with his companions, playing, doing whatever he is doing, while the Vishnus are doing so many other things. So this way, Krishna explains, Nachamastani Bhutani, Pashyami Yogamayeshwaram, Bhutabrin Nacha Bhutasto, Amatma Bhuta Bhavanaha. Na, never, cha, also, Matstani, situated in me, Bhutani, all creation, Pascha, just see, me, my, Yogamayeshwaram, inconceivable mystic power, Bhutabhrit, the maintainer of all living entities, Na, never, cha, also, Bhutasta, in the cosmic manifestation, Mama, my, Atma, self, Bhuta Bhavanaha, the source of all manifestation. Yet everything that is created does not rest in me. So previously he said, all beings are in me. And in the 7th chapter, Krishna said, Mattaha parataram nanyati kinchitasti dhananjaya. Mai sarvamidam protam shutre maniganaiva. That I am the resting place of everything. And Krishna also later says, Nidanam bhijam avyayam. That he is actually the resting place of everything. But here Krishna is saying that yet everything that is created does not rest in me. Behold my mystic opulence. Although I am the maintainer of all living entities, although I am everywhere, I am not part of this cosmic manifestation, for myself is the very source of creation. Completely contradicting words. If you actually see each sentence contradicts with the previous sentence. Totally contradicting. But how do you reconcile them? You can actually reconcile them by actually clearly understanding that the absolute truth is understood in three phases: Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So everything created that is created does not rest in me. That is Bhagavan, because Bhagavan is far from this creation. Tad dure, is far from this creation. Isha Upanishad says that he is far from this creation. Tad dure, that he is far from this creation. Behold my mystic opulence. Although I am the maintainer of all living entities, and although I am everywhere, this is Tadavantike. Taddure, Tadavantike. Tadantarasya sarvasya, tadu sarvasyasya bhahyataha. So the sarvasyasya bhahyataha, this is Bhagavan. Antarasya sarvasya, this is Paramatma. That he is there as a maintainer. He is Paramatma, he is maintaining. He says, Krishna says in 13th chapter, Upadashta Anumanta cha Bharta Bhokta Maheshwaraha. Paramatmeti chapikto dehesmin purushaparaha. And he is everywhere. But I am not part of this cosmic manifestation, for I myself is the very source of creation. This is Mahavishnu. Mahavishnu is the Paramatma feature, is the three Vishnus. In different levels, the three Vishnus constitute the Paramatma feature. Although generally we understand that the Sirodakshaya Vishnu is the Paramatma, but sometimes you can see in the first canto, Prabhupada actually interchangeably uses Sirodakshaya Vishnu and Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, because they are the same person expanding himself in three levels. So in one sense, all the three Vishnus can be called as the Paramatma feature. So that Mahavishnu is the very source of creation. So Ita akasho stito nityam vayu sarvatra go mahan tata sarvani bhutani matstani upadharaya. Yata, just as akasha stita, situated in the sky, nityam, always, vayu, the wind, sarvatra gaha, blowing everywhere, mahan, great, tata, similarly, sarvani bhutani, all created beings, matstani, situated in me, iti, thus, upadharaya, try to understand. So Krishna gives a very, very simple example. He says, see, how everything is situated in me, it is not very difficult for you to understand. The sky is there, in the sky wind is situated. But the sky and the wind, they are not mixing with each other. Same way, I am there and the entire creation is there. I am not mixing with the creation. He gives a very, very simple example. Now, what is the complication in this? The complication in this is that the sky and the wind, they are actually material elements and there is no consciousness. There is no consciousness involved in them. But Krishna and the living entities are sentient beings. They are conscious beings. To be with someone and to not be affected by what is going on with him is extremely difficult. Now imagine that you have to live with somebody throughout your life and you should not be affected by what is happening to him. Is it possible? Is it possible? Is it possible like that? Impossible. It's impossible. It's never possible. But Krishna is like that. That is Krishna's renunciation. That Krishna is present in everybody's heart, but he is not affected by what is happening. Krishna himself says, Udasinavat asinaha. I am situated as if I am neutral. I am simply giving the effects of your karma. Whatever you want to enjoy, whatever you want to suffer, simply give the effects of karma. That's it. Till you turn your face towards Krishna. So this is Krishna's opulence. This is Krishna's renunciation. What he does is impossible. Sarva bhutani kaunteya prakritim yanti mamekam kalpakshaya punastani kalpada visarjameham. Sarva bhutani, all created beings, kaunteya, O son of Kunti, prakritim, nature, yanti, enter, mamekam, me, kalpakshaye, at the end of the millennium, punah, again, tani, all those, kalpado, in the beginning of the millennium, visarjami, create, aham, I. O son of Kunti, at the end of millennium, all material manifestations enter my nature, and in the beginning of another millennium, by my potency, I create them again. This is Mahavishnu. So, unless one understands the absolute truth in terms of Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan, one will never be able to reconcile the contradictory statements of the Vedic literature. Mayavadis failed to recognize this. So therefore, they think that one part of contradiction is material, the other part of contradiction is spiritual. That is how they understand the whole thing. They don't understand that both part of the contradiction is spiritual, and then they can perfectly coexist with each other without any confusion. They don't understand this. So when it is said in Isha Upanishad, the Supreme Lord walks and he does not walk, they say walking is material, not walking is spiritual. Because why do you walk? Simple question. I'm asking a question. Why do you walk? Anybody can answer. Why do you walk?
To reach from one point to another.
So what is the basic requirement for reaching from one point to another point?
Perform karma. Motion.
One is there and then has to go to some other place. He's not at the other place.
Yes, this is the basic requirement. Exactly. This is the basic requirement. You should be in one place and you should not be in another place. So unless you are in one place and you are not in another place, you cannot walk from one place to another place. It's a very, very basic requirement. So then the Mayavadis argue that the Supreme is all pervading. So because the Supreme is all pervading, the Supreme cannot walk. Because the Supreme is in all places. The basic requirement for walking is that you should be in one place and you should not be in another place. Now, can you say where the Supreme is not there? No, he is there everywhere. So not walking is spiritual and walking is material. So this is how they conclude. But what is the truth? The truth is that the Lord does not have to walk as Paramatma and Brahman, but he walks as Bhagavan. And when he walks as Bhagavan, that walking is so beautiful that everybody wants to see that walking. Bargha Pitam Natavara Vapu, Karnayor Karnikaram, Vibrutvasa Kanaka Kapisham, Vaijayantim Chamalam, Randhran Vedur, Adara Sudaya Puri and Gopa Vrinde, Vrindaranyam, Swapadaramanam, Pravishat Gita Kirtihi. Very beautifully, Sukadeva Goswami explains that how Krishna is actually entering into the Vrindavan forest. So he walks very nicely. And his walking is very beautiful. His gait is very beautiful. Sometimes his gait is compared to an elephant. Sometimes his gait is compared to a lion. Sometimes his gait is compared to an eagle. In the Suprabhardam prayers, it is said the Lord walks with three types of gait. Like the Garuda, like the lion, and like the elephant. And when the Lord walks with different types of gait at different times, all the sages assemble to see how the Lord is walking. It is very nicely explained. that how the Lord is walking. So the Lord walks, he walks. And he came walking as Sakshi Gopal. He came all the way from Vrindavan. He came walking as Sakshi Gopal to actually give evidence for the Brahmana. So we see that walking is part of the Supreme Absolute Truth. And not walking is also part of him. Tadhavato Anyan Atyeti Tishtat, that even before anybody reaches any place, he can beat all the demigods in running, and he can be before them. Before anybody could go, he can be there. Like when Uttara was actually afflicted by the Brahmastra, and the Brahmastra was going to kill Parikshit. So that time, all the Pandavas, they got ready with the respective weapons. They wanted to fire their weapons. They wanted to do something. But before they could even get ready with the respective weapons, the Lord was already in the womb of Uttara. And he was already fighting the entire Brahmastra with his Sudarshan Chakra. And he already finished off, nullified the Brahmastra, and he had come out. He was simultaneously outside and he was simultaneously inside. Everybody could see that the Lord was standing out. By the same time, Parikshit actually could see that the Lord had come with the 400 form, and the Sudarshan Chakra was actually circling in his hand, and the effulgent rays of the Sudarshan Chakra were coming out, and they were actually nullifying all the rays of Brahmastra, and he was very happy. He was not all affected. So the Lord can be walking and he can be all pervading. And how to understand that? You can understand that by actually studying Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. And this is explained very nicely by the first line of the first shloka, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So the principle of Achintya Bheda Bheda, the simultaneous oneness and difference, is very much part of the Bhagavata philosophy. That the very first sentence of Srimad Bhagavatam actually explains this Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva very clearly. So therefore, the Lord is to be understood as three features: Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So two features are all pervading, and one feature is the personality. So Vyasadeva, he offers obeisance to the Lord. It is his Ishtadeva. But in the process, he also established the Tattva. That this is what is going to be. This is the person whom we are talking about. Then later, in the shloka, he explains the entire nature of that person, how he is absolute truth. That is explained by him. Okay. Hare Krishna Prabhu. Now, how do we understand that Srimad Bhagavatam is a natural commentary of Vedanta Sutra? Whatever is the purpose of the Vedanta Sutra, that same purpose is served by Srimad Bhagavatam. The purpose of Vedanta Sutra is to establish Bhakti as supreme. Bhagavatam does that. The purpose of Vedanta Sutra is to actually establish Krishna as Samam Bonam. Bhagavatam does that. The purpose of Vedanta Sutra is to defeat the opposing darshanas. There are total 6 darshanas. I'm sure you're all familiar with the 6 darshanas, darshanas. There are total 6 darshanas of the Smriti section. So the 6 darshanas are Vedanta Sutra itself, which is called as Uttara Mimamsa, and Karma Mimamsa, which is called as Purva Mimamsa. Then there is Nyaya, there's Vaisheshika, then there is Yoga, and there is Sankhya. Generally, they are considered as pairs. Yoga and Sankhya is considered pair. Nyaya and Vaisheshika is considered pair. Uttara and Purva Mimamsa are considered as pairs. So, Uttara Mimamsa or Vedanta Sutra, it actually deals with each of these philosophies, because each of these philosophies, the different sages, they have actually tried to explain what is the purpose of creation. Is there God? Is there not God? What is the nature of the soul? What is the origin of the soul? What is the origin of creation? And what is the actual purpose of human life? So each of the darshanas have distinctly explored these questions in terms of Sambandha, Abhidheya, and Prayojana. And they have explored them on the basis of Vedic evidence. So therefore, they are called as Astika philosophies, or philosophies which accept the authority of Vedas. The rest of the philosophies which don't accept the authority of Vedas, like Vaibhashika philosophy and other philosophies, they actually are called Nastika philosophy, like Buddhist philosophy is called the Nastika philosophy, because they decry the authority of Vedas. So, as far as the Vedic system is concerned, acceptance of the authority of Veda is considered Astika, and non-acceptance of Vedic authority is considered Nastika. So, within the acceptance of Vedic authority, not necessarily there is acceptance of one supremely powerful God. Not all philosophies accept this, that there is one supremely powerful God. In fact, most of all the 5 philosophies, they don't accept the existence of one supremely powerful God. They accept the existence of the soul and the eternality of the soul, but they don't accept the existence of one powerful person, God. And many of them don't even accept the concept of intelligent creation, which is actually designed by one person for a particular purpose. Some of them also maintain that creation is actually a random phenomenon. Some of them restrict the creation to the material world, like Mimamsa philosophy, which is the very basic philosophy. It basically restricts the creation to the material world. It does not even accept the existence of a spiritual world or a spiritual status, let us say, not a world, but spiritual status, which is the Brahman status. It doesn't even accept the existence of the spiritual status. It simply accepts only the material status. So the purpose of Vedanta Sutra was also to defeat these misconceptions very systematically and to explain the source of creation. So Bhagavatam also does that. Bhagavatam also defeats all these misconceptions very clearly. And Bhagavatam also explains the source of the creation. And then some, like the sutras, they are in very codified form. So the nature of a purport or the nature of an explanation is to explain that codified form. Bhagavatam does that. Like for example, there is this first sutra, Om Atato Brahma Jigyasa. Okay. So Om Atato Brahma Jigyasa has 2 Ataha, Ata Brahma Jigyasa. So the first Ataha actually denotes the frustration of going through dharma, artha, kama, moksha, life after life. The second Ataha denotes the opportunity of association with the pure devotionals, with pure devotees. Then, having experienced the frustration of going through dharma, artha, kama, and moksha, and having attained the opportunity to associate with pure devotees, one should immediately inquire into the supreme absolute truth. Om Atato Brahma Jigyasa. This is the meaning of Om Atato Brahma Jigyasa. Now, this is explained by the first chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. The first chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam is actually the purport of Om Atato Brahma Jigyasa. So if you see the first chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, what is happening? In the first chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, there are these sages of Naimisharanya. And who are the sages of Naimisharanya? The sages of Naimisharanya are Brahmana sannyasis. They are not normal people, they are Brahmana sannyasis. And they have actually met Brahma, and Brahma has given them the task of engaging in a big sacrifice which is meant for the welfare of the entire Kali Yuga people. So they are Brahmana sannyasis. Brahmana sannyasi is the topmost situation in Varnashrama. This is the head of Varnashram. Brahmana sannyasi is the head of Varnashram. Because he is already Brahmana, who is the head of the Varnas, and he is sannyasi, who is the head of the ashram. So he is the head of both. He is Brahmana, that means he is supreme. He is sannyasi, that means he is supermost. So Brahmana sannyasi is the supreme, supermost position in Varnashram. And that position is attained by meticulous practice of dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Meticulous practice of moksha dharma. So these are the people, they have actually met Brahma, and they don't even have any desire to enjoy. They are simply doing welfare work for the entire humanity. They are not doing something for their sense enjoyment. They are already out of this sense enjoyment business. But they are not satisfied. That is the implication of the first ataha. That even if you attain the topmost position in the material world, which is being a Brahmana sannyasi, by the practice of varnashram dharma, which actually deals with dharma, artha and kama moksha, still you will not be satisfied. So this is the implication of the first ataha. Then, what is their opportunity? Their opportunity is that they see Suta Goswami. And Suta Goswami is a Shudra by birth. But he is completely satisfied. The moment they see him, they recognize, oh, this fellow is completely satisfied. So we are not satisfied, but he is satisfied. So that means he is worthy of enquiry. So normally, a Shudra should inquire from Brahmana. Now, Brahmana sannyasis are inquiring from Shudra. You see. So that means that the topmost position which can be attained by Varnashram is still inferior to the position which can be attained by the maturity of Bhakti, not by the beginning of Bhakti, by the maturity of Bhakti. So therefore, a pure devotee, irrespective of his Varnashram position, is always worthy of enquiry. This is what Mahaprabhu says, Kiba Vipra Kibanyasi Sudra Kena Haya, Jes Krishna Tattva Jani, say Guru hai. So he is worthy of enquiry. And once you find him, then you need to inquire with him. And that's exactly what the sages of Naimisharanya do. Kritavan kila karmani sagaramena keshava atimatyani bhagavan bhuta kapata manushaha. What did they do? How did the Lord create as the Lila avatars? How did the Lord act as the Lila avatars? How did the Lord create as the Purusha avatars? Where did Dharma and Jnana take shelter of? Dharmakam sharanam gataha. So they asked questions that what is good for everybody, by how the self will be completely satisfied. So these are questions which are beyond the realm of dharma, artha, kama and moksha. So they are asking these questions. So that is what O Matado Brahma Jigyasa means. So normally, if they are Brahmana sannyasis, they should be satisfied. If they're satisfied, then they need not ask question, because a self-satisfied man does not have any question to ask. But if they have question, that means they are not satisfied. So if they are in the topmost position of Varnashram, then why they are not satisfied? That means Varnashram cannot satisfy you. Simply by practicing Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, you cannot be satisfied. So a person who has practiced Bhakti, in spite of his disqualification as per Varnashram, he is satisfied. So that means he is worthy of enquiry. So this is the purport of the first verse. And that is explained in the first chapter. So like that, if you actually know Vedanta Sutra, and if you know Bhagavatam, you can actually map Vedanta Sutra to Bhagavatam step by step. There's one Maharaj, he is no longer there, he went back to Godhead. His name is Suhotra Swami Maharaj. So he has actually done that. He has actually mapped shloka to shloka of Bhagavatam to verse of Vedanta Sutra. It's possible. It's possible to do it. So this way you can actually find that there are different pastimes in Bhagavatam, and those pastimes, they also defeat different philosophies, like Jadabharata's pastime defeats Nyaya, and the demigods' prayers, they defeat Sankhya. So like that, and Krishna himself defeats Mimamsa when he speaks to Uddhava in Uddhava Gita. He discusses Mimamsa very elaborately. And in the 87th chapter of 10th canto, in the prayer of personified Vedas, every philosophy is defeated. the Vedas themselves defeat all those philosophies. So you can actually see that the creation is explained, how the creation works, that's explained. So you'll find that the subject matter of Bhagavatam and subject matter of Vedanta Sutra is more or less this. This is exactly the same. Vedanta Sutra explains this everything in a very highly philosophical perspective. Bhagavatam explains everything from pastime perspective. So then it is easy for us to understand. Vedanta Sutra is not so easy to understand. It can be quite confusing also. I saw somebody raising a hand and then I was just explaining, then the hand went down. So, you wanted to ask something?
That was Namrasita Mataji. You can ask the
Prabhu,
question.
I got the answer. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay. So that's how Bhagavatam remains the commentary of Vedanta Sutra. That if you actually see the different pastimes of Bhagavatam, you can actually connect them to different aphorisms in Vedanta Sutra. So that's the purpose. Obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Vasudeva directly indicate Lord Krishna, who is the divine son of Vasudeva and Devaki. This fact will be more explicitly explained in the text of this word, means the entire Bhagavatam. So the entire Bhagavatam is simply meant to establish Krishna as Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sri Vyasadeva herein asserts that Krishna is the original personality of Godhead and all others are his direct or indirect portions or portions of the portions. Srila Jiva Goswami has even more explicitly explained subject matter in Krishna Sandarbha. So Krishna Sandarbha actually deals with establishing Krishna as Supreme Personality of Godhead. So there Jiva Goswami explains different verses which establish Krishna as Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he deals with different objections which may give a contrary understanding. He deals with how to resolve those objections. So that's what basically Krishna Sandarbha is. It explains how Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Brahma, the original living being, has explained the subject matter of Krishna substantially in his treatise named Brahma Samhita. We know Ishvara Parama Krishna, Sachidananda Vigraha, Anadirajir Govinda, Sarva Karana Karanam. In the Upanishad in Samaveda, it is also stated that Krishna is the son of Devaki. He is the divine son of Devaki. Brahmanyo Devaki Putraha. Prabhupada quotes this Samaveda, that he is the son of Devaki. Therefore, in this prayer, the first proposition holds that Lord Krishna is the primeval Lord. And if any transcendental nomenclature is to be understood belonging to the absolute personality of Godhead, it must be indicated by the word Krishna, which means all attractive. So that's the essence of understanding Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. That the son of Vasudeva, who is Krishna, who is the all attractive Lord, he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Everybody else, they may be equal to him in Tattva. Like the Vishnu Tattva, they are all equal. Brahma explains, Deepa Chireva Hitachantaram Apyupetya, Deepayate Vivurte Hetu Samana Dharma, Estargayeva Hicha Vishnu Taya Vibhati, Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Like the flame from the original lamp is same as the flame in all the other lamps. So therefore, the Lord expands his Vishnu Tattva, and all the Vishnu Tattva is same as the Supreme Lord. This is explained by Brahma. So it is true. But Krishna remains the Supreme because he is all attractive. So that is the feature of the absolute truth. That everybody gets attracted to him. And practically also we can see everybody is attracted to Krishna. Children are attracted to Krishna. Those who are grown up, they are attracted to Krishna. Old people are attracted to Krishna. Even those who are rascals, they are also attracted to Krishna. They are thinking that, oh, Krishna has so many girlfriends. I can also have many girlfriends. Krishna is nice. He is dancing with girlfriends. I can also dance with girlfriends. So some aspect of Krishna is attracting everybody. He is all attractive. The politicians are greatly attracted to Krishna. They think that Krishna is doing politics, so we should also do politics. So different people in different walks of life, everyone is attracted to Krishna. So Prabhupada is stating that the Supreme Absolute Truth, if you have to give a name to the Supreme Absolute Truth, that person you should be called as Krishna. Yes, Namrata Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Prabhu, there are a few lines. It says, Vyasdeva therefore gives the reader the chance to gradually develop spiritual realization before actually relishing the essence of the pastimes of the Lord. Therefore, he purposely invokes a Gayatri mantra Dhimahi.
We didn't go there, no,
I'm
Mataji.
not
We have not gone there in the purport.
okay. Okay.
We are still far away from that. We just started reading the purport.
Yes, sir. Okay.
So we are going to read the whole purport. We are going to read every line in the purport of all the 3 verses. So we are not going to skip anything. So when we come there, we'll definitely deal with it. And if you have questions, you can definitely ask.
Okay.
So we should stop here because it's already 9 o'clock. So tomorrow we'll meet at 8 o'clock and then we'll continue till 9. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Ram.
Hare Krishna.
Jai Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Premanande, Hare Hare Go. Thank you very much. See you tomorrow.
Thank you, His Grace Harilila Prabhu. We are very, very grateful to you to hear such nectarian Bhagavad first verse. And all of us, we heartily thank Prabhuji by loudly chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. His Grace.
Thankful to you. I'm very thankful to you because somehow or other, normally we read Bhagavatam only when we do some courses. But just to come together to read Bhagavatam for the sake of reading Bhagavatam is a great opportunity. And then to be with people who are interested to do that is a great privilege. So I would like to very sincerely thank you for somehow or other getting me into it. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for giving us your association. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. So thank you so very much, all the devotees, for hearing. It is a little scholarly class, but I hope you will all get it. और प्रभुजी ने बोला कि जैसे एक लाइन प्रभुपाद की पढ़ेंगे, so that is the best way to read this first verses. So thank you so very much. So we'll meet tomorrow, same time, 8 o'clock. Hare Krishna. All glories to Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, sir.
Hare Krishna.